Today we're gonna dig our teeth into something with some meat. This is America. And if there's anything we're good at, it's going to war. We're good at making movies about going to war and eating meat. Lots and lots of meat. With the release of American Sniper, we felt compelled to look at how Clint Eastwood's version of the American soldier compares to the on-screen soldiers of yesterday. Welcome to film school, you maggot! Hope you like meat. Before 1970, most war films had to be careful with how they presented the soldier. It was difficult to make a war film without the help of the military, and after the blacklisting of communist supporters in the 40s and 50s, no one wanted to be involved in a fiasco like that again. Speaking creatively against Vietnam was taboo. However, in 1957, a mere 2 years into the conflict, Stanley Kubrick brought us into the trenches of World War I with Paths of Glory. Set in 1916, Paths of Glory showed a unique perspective of the American soldier. Meet Colonel Dax. Shirtless and meaty. Yes, he's supposed to be French, but he's obviously an American soldier.
Not a bull, General. I don't need a flag waved in front of me to get me to charge.
Paths of Glory shows us both the individual experience as well as the business of war. We're seeing soldiers being negotiated as trade. The title, Paths of Glory, is ironic, as there's nothing glorious about war. As the poem states, the paths of glory lead but to the grave. Kubrick's soldiers are but ants, fighting for a meaningless piece of real estate dubbed the anthill. Kubrick is not concerned here with one army against another. He's trying to work out the morality of war from within. Kirk Douglas is a soldier who stands up to the killing of innocent men, but these innocent men were also soldiers, weak and scared and trembling at the thought of death. This is not the depiction of the soldier we were used to seeing during World War II. In 1968, a guy by the name of John Wayne makes a film called The Green Berets, which chronicles the efforts of Colonel Mike Kirby as he puts a team together, like the A-Team, but it was a different team. The anti-war atmosphere in the United States during Vietnam concerned Wayne, and he wanted to make this film to prove to the hippies that war is good. The film takes no risks with its portrayal of the American soldier. So why are we even talking about this film? For maybe the first time on screen, we start to see an actual discourse between two sides of the Vietnam argument.
My paper doesn't believe we should be involved in Vietnam. I'm afraid I'll see something out there that might substantiate that belief.
Be my guest.
In Wayne's attempt to show the hippies that war was okay, he inadvertently opened up a door for filmmakers to start directly questioning Vietnam and how we are using our soldiers. So much meat! We never said it was a good movie. Let's move on. 1970, Patton. A dramatized biography of General George Patton. It was a huge 20th Century Fox production that held a mainly positive view of the U.S. in World War II. Indirectly, Patton comments on Vietnam as well. The film's producers hired a young Francis Ford Coppola to write the screenplay. Coppola decided to present General Patton in a way that allowed the audience to decide for themselves whether or not they empathize or reject Patton. George C. Scott said of his character, he embodies, quote, "things I admire and condemn. That is what makes him human." Oh, we're recording. Looking at the opening scene, the enormous American flag fills the screen entirely and dwarfs Patton in the frame. Is it an outsized appeal to patriotism, or is it a piece of modern art meant to deconstruct a symbol? Patton was the most complex depiction of a soldier at the time. The title character was devout but profane. He was ferocious but also kind. We are seeing the American soldier, but flawed. Patton insists on showing us the eccentricities and weaknesses of its protagonist and leaves us with the question, are our soldiers human beings? Well, Robert Altman certainly thought so. In 1970, MASH released. The film depicts a unit of medical personnel stationed at a mobile army surgical hospital during the Korean War. MASH wants to tell you that the American soldier is not a soldier at all. He is a man first, sometimes a clown, sometimes a drunk.
Don't you use olives?
And occasionally a surgeon. Despite MASH's shenanigans, it consistently touches upon the very personal difficulties of being at war. Just as quickly as the film strays into satire, it cuts right to a gruesome, realistic, blood-squirting surgery and another man dies. It's a juxtaposition that's often unsettling. It reminds us that even in the throes of war, a man, whether soldier or surgeon, is still just a man. He is full of uncertainty and a need for humor.
Oh, no. Here, take your shirt off and tell me where it hurts.
And boobs. He needs access to boobs. The military dehumanizes the individual in order to turn him into a soldier, so most of the humor in MASH breaks that system.
This isn't a hospital! It's an insane asylum!
A little more wine, my dear?
Altman shows the individual standing up against the system and doing what he damn well pleases. The following year, a small movie, Johnny Got His Gun, finally took a firm stance against the Vietnam War and showed a soldier process through that system and spat back out. This is one of the first major films to be so outspoken about the effects of war on the psyche of the soldier.
Help me, Mother, I'm having a nightmare and I can't wake up.
Johnny Got His Gun tells the story of a soldier named Joe, who was wounded by an artillery shell during World War I. In 1971, most people were ready to pull out of Vietnam and had seen soldiers come home shell-shocked, so when Johnny Got His Gun came out, the parallels were obvious, to even the dumbest person.
Huh?
Although we never see Joe's face in the hospital, we can hear his thoughts, which become more desperate and jumbled as he learns the sad truth about his situation. We soon discover that Joe has no arms or legs and is unable to speak. I don't want to get really dark here, but the guy has to bang out, "Please kill me" in Morse code with his head. Johnny Got His Gun reflects an important new perspective of the American soldier. The soldier has been silenced. He cannot communicate or express any of the horrible truths of war to the rest of the world. Cue Ride of the Valkyries.
Scares the hell out of the slopes. My boys love it.
1979, Apocalypse Now, perhaps the greatest war film ever made. Through Coppola's lens and the eyes of his twisted characters, we see the mad glorification of hell from above. For the first time, we see the effects of the Vietnam War on its soldiers. The airborne attack on the beach so soldiers can surf suggests that Apocalypse Now has no regard for an actual war. The context of war and the soldiers in it becomes arbitrary, selfish, and out of control.
Smells like victory.
Under Coppola, Apocalypse Now became a descent into hell and madness of bombs and rockets and napalm. Then, the 1970s were gone. And then, in 1986, Top Gun came out. And as far as we're concerned, all Top Gun ever did was make war and volleyball look cool again. I just want to high-five shirtless guys. Like all day.
Yeah.
Although Good Morning Vietnam gave the soldier a voice and a sense of humor, we're not going to talk about it. It was another 1987 film that really changed the on-screen American soldier. It sees a return from a director earlier in this list, Stanley Kubrick. Full Metal Jacket is Kubrick's third film in the war genre, and this time, he looks at the psychological effects of conditioning the soldier. If Kubrick made his soldiers accessible humans in Paths of Glory, he makes sure to strip away all identity right from the start of Full Metal Jacket. The soldier is a man at his most primal, without any ties to his civilized world. The only thing that matters is that he becomes part of the machine that is the military. In the first half of Full Metal Jacket, every frame is designed to show the desensitization of man. No longer is man a man. He is now part of the military machine. We see the conditioning process working. The men slowly become better soldiers, becoming a unit, but Private Pyle is singled out. Pyle is ill-equipped to be a soldier, and the military machine has no room for a screw that doesn't fit. It seems as though they are making some kind of human connection, but Joker is only teaching Pyle in an effort to ensure he fits into the machinery better. Pyle is not a soldier. He doesn't look like a soldier, and we start to see the man on the inside.
He's the third Christ. I think you've got a heart off.
This extreme close-up ensures we identify that something is very wrong with Pyle. He is no longer turning into a soldier, he is turning into something else entirely. And then it happens. Now, finally a Marine, Private Pyle cracks. The system worked. However, the only enemy he'd ever known was Drill Sergeant Hartman. Kablamo! Moving on. Born on the 4th of July came out weirdly not on the 4th of July. It is possibly the most candid anti-war film here. Oliver Stone shows what war does to the soldier's spirit. He shows the worst effects of war on the American soldier, both physical and emotional, and we watch his heroic ideals repeatedly broken.
Because you bought that communist bullshit, Ronnie. Yeah, they were gonna take over the world. Do you remember that? Whole town was devastated. For lies, for bullshit lies.
It's a new representation of the American soldier in cinema. This soldier has done something terrible, and he must learn to live with his wartime efforts just like the United States must learn to live with hers. As is the case in Johnny Got His Gun, Born on the 4th of July is mostly concerned with the war after the war, and what happens when the soldier comes home not as a hero, but as a castrated cripple. It's a tough watch. Writer and director Terrence Malick came back to cinema after a 20-year hiatus with The Thin Red Line, a poetic take on who the soldier is. Michael O'Sullivan of The Washington Post wrote, "The Thin Red Line is a movie about angels, especially the fallen kind, who just happen to be men." And then he had a stroke, like right after he wrote that. That might not be true, you should look that up. Malick opens the film by setting us in the middle of nowhere. All ties to the known American world are cut off. This soldier is searching for peace, and he finds paradise until the military comes to take his peace away and bring him back to the chaos of war. The Thin Red Line attempts to look into the soul of the soldier. What are his inner workings? What are his fears, his passions? The film seeks to understand what turns the gears inside a soldier once he's already at war. This soldier is asking some very serious existential questions. Who am I? Why am I here? What is man's place in nature? Man can try to obliterate all of nature, but without nature, man cannot exist. And nature will always find a way to survive. The soldier's place in nature is merely a passerby. The Thin Red Line takes all other wars down to size, perhaps questioning whether any of them matter at all. As we enter the new millennium, cinema needed a new voice to talk about the soldier. Sam Mendes gave us Jarhead.
Slang for Marine, from the resemblance to a jar of the regulation high and tight haircut. The Marine's head by implication, therefore also a jar, an empty vessel.
The film is often credited for its unique portrayal of Gulf War Marines who battled boredom and a sense of isolation rather than enemy combatants. Jarhead asks how the soldier copes with waiting to kill. Like Full Metal Jacket, Jarhead opens with the breakdown of humanity, because that's like a nice, light way to open. We see clearly that the military exercises the individual in order to turn him into whatever it pleases, then reduces the soldier to tuning himself up like a mechanic. He's designed to kill, but first he must oil his dipstick, hydrating, dehydrating, cleaning your rifle, masturbation, oiling your euphemisms for more masturbation. All of those were euphemisms for masturbation. Look at all that meat. We see Gyllenhaal force his gun into the face of his ally. He is broken. Everything is broken. The phones are broken, the suits are broken, the soldiers are broken. When Jarhead came out, was the American cause also broken? What happens when a machine can't do what it's supposed to do anymore? Well, for a soldier, it means a complete breakdown.
Let it kill! Let it kill!
Home straight home, perfect. The Hurt Locker represents a new kind of war and a new kind of American soldier. This is a technical war, an often faceless war, and this reflects how our world's changed. The world has become detached, and the opening of the film lets us know that the American soldier is also detached. This soldier is fighting a war with a joystick through a computer screen. The enemy fights back with cell phones and hidden explosives. When we first meet Sergeant First Class William James, he's hiding in the dark, smoking and strung out, like my dad. The American soldier himself is an explosive weapon. This soldier is reasonable and quiet, but his music is loud and violent. The truth is, he's also a badass. In the Hurt Locker, the threat is constant. It feels as though the American soldier is an antigen flowing through the blood of Iraq. The soldier is not engaging in direct conflict, but he is diffusing dangerous situations that could threaten the lives of innocent civilians.
Let's go! Kim, come on! Let's go! Sam, I got the suit, just go!
He's trying to sort out where the threats are, and the film makes it very clear that threats come from everywhere, even from within. In a time where it was feared that a bomb could go off anywhere, the Hurt Locker hit a real soft spot with the American public. Without concern for American ideals, the Hurt Locker explores crumbled landscapes that have already been brought to rubble from years of war. The American soldier is nothing more than a cleanup crew. But like a really badass cleanup crew, not like a janitor. But where does that leave us with American Sniper? Clint Eastwood has made other films about soldiers, but none have been as divisive as this one. The movie makes it very clear that certain ideals are worth fighting for, but it takes a certain kind of person to lead the way.
We're going back out.
Chris Kyle is certainly the type of soldier we identify with. He wants to be with his family, but war has broken him. And when he is with his family, he wants to be back at war. He's torn. On screen, he's all of us.
He's a hero. That's right.
We're going to present you with a question. Kyle's father voices the movie's central moral metaphor during a flashback.
There are three types of people in this world: sheep, wolves, and sheepdogs.
Okay, obviously in this scenario, Chris Kyle is the sheepdog, but what does that say about the present American soldier? In conclusion, war is messed up, and the American soldier is a cinematic icon waiting to be dissected and thrown into on-screen battles for years to come. How a soldier is portrayed and what he struggles with says a lot about a movie's place in time. How will the American soldier be portrayed in the future? Cybernetic hands and jetpacks? Look, the only real winner is the carnivore. Meat! Oh, we're back to that fun refrain. I love it.
For more great movie-related content, check out the videos below or go to Cinefix.com.